Hello, everybody. It's lovely to be back, and sorry for the last few weeks. Me and Kirsty have both been unwell, um, but Kirsty's hopefully going to be back in the next week or two. She's just recovering, finally in hospital. But it's lovely to be back on SPTV, and thank you for joining us on our Monday evening. For those people, wherever you are, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good day, wherever you are. And the way that our Monday night works is that basically ask us a question of a spiritual nature, not who can you see someone behind me, anything like that. A question around about mediumship, healing, Reiki, or something spiritual. We'll answer that to the best of our ability. And then from there, the person who's questioned that, once we've answered it, gets the reading. That's the only way to get a reading. So please contribute. The only other things to bear in mind is that obviously we're on a public domain, so please don't put anything personal in the messages, because obviously it's going out publicly. And you know, Mr. Producer is reading everyone's comments and checking on those. So please don't feel that you know, you're not being seen or being heard. It just takes time. There's lots to get through. But also, he's the only one, and myself, that are working this evening. So if someone else approaches you, just block them or inform Mr. Producer that you've been asked to have reading. Is this genuine or whatever else? Mr. Producer will take it from there. So the thing I like about the Monday night is that we're one big happy family, and you know, we're so blessed. We're coming up to quite a few years now we've been doing this, and we've been very blessed to be a part of it. And I've been hearing so many stories about the wonderful weekend that SPTV did with Wimbledon and Hackbridge Church. So well done to you all, and all the wonderful readers and those who attended. So well done to you all. So with no further ado, have we got any lows, please, Mr. Producer? And if we can send healing out to everyone that needs it at the moment, that'd be wonderful. So hello, Kerry Ahern, including Mr. Producer. Hello, Hezvan. Hello, Stacy. Hello, Beverly French. Hello, Jenny Walton. Hi, Terry. Oh, thank you very much for sending healing to Kirsty. Hello, Kaylee Byrne. Hello, Jordan Walton. Nice to see you. Hello, Julie Caswell. Good to see you. Sunflower there. Hello, Amanda Rhodes. Yeah, I'm hearing so many stories that it was a fantastic weekend. Hello, Risha Ramsapoop. Sorry, I hope I've said that correct. Hello, Samantha De Hoyos. Hello, Diana. So just to recap on how it works, if you post a question of a spiritual nature, then basically that's the only way to get a reading. So if you put, you know, can you see my mum, can you see my dad, can you see this around me? Unfortunately, that won't be responded to. So please post questions. It's about growth and understanding, and from there, then that person gets a reading. Hello, Natalie Bentley. Nice to see you. Hello, Millie B. Nice to see you. Hello, Laura Doherty, or Doherty, however you want to, however you say it. Some people say Doherty, some people say Doherty. So I'll let my bets both ways, Laura. Hello, Elaine Walker. First time is mine. Okay, so hello, Elaine Walker. Nice to join the first time. So, guys, basically, our loved ones are watching over us all of the time. They're with us. So, for those people who are new to this way of life, understand that your parents were very much a fundamental part of your life. So, they're going to be a part of your life, and they're going to continue to be. And even those loved ones who basically you didn't know. So say, for example, say your grandfather passed before you were born. They still want to be a part of your life. They want to see how you grow and as an individual, but grow in life from the point of entering the world to the point of where you are now. So always be sure that your loved ones are always around you. And I say this all the time, and I know Kirsty does as well. Equally, if there's people you don't want to come through, be aware that you have the right to say, do you mind me not bringing those people in? Because if it didn't make you feel comfortable when they were here, they're not going to do that the same when they're over the other side. So hopefully that explains about whether people are watching over different people. So thank you for that. So guys, remember, the only time you're going to get a reading is if you're posting a question of something you want to be answered. By doing that, then you will get a reading. During the week, other shows, you don't have to post a question, but on this one you do. So that's how it works. So hello, Annalyn L. Hello to you. Hello, Nicola Humphreys. She's getting better, thank you, Nicola. Hello, June Malkin. Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed the weekend. So Dawn Taylor says, Matt, when you get messages, do you actually hear voices? So for me, Dawn, I tend to hear. When I say I'm clairaudient, I'm clairaudient internally within my inside my mind. So I hear them inside. So I hear my own voice generally. I have heard other people's voices, but it's very, very rare. So I do see clairvoyantly, sort of subjectively and objectively, but for my clairaudience, I tend to be subjective. I see them, I hear them within my mind. It is generally when I hear voices. If you like the likes of Doris Stokes and stuff, you actually heard the actual voices of the accents and different things. So it tends to be, if I'm hearing accents, it tends to be more the terminology. And like I said, I'm hearing my own voice. So both ways, if you think, well, I hear voices, does that mean I'm clairaudient? You are clairaudient, but you're also, there's different ways we can be clairaudient, clairvoyant, etc. So I feel you know that already anyway, Dawn. So were yourself done? Hopefully that answers that question. So I'm going to start with some cards tonight to get into it. Okay, have a lady who you resemble as I'm going, before I start with the cards, Dawn. Doesn't have the same colour hair as you. I want go blondish hair, but very much the same with in the facial features and around the eyes. But I want blue eyes. You look like you've got green eyes, but I want blue eyes, and I feel like I'm going a motherly vibration. I feel probably about 5'4", 5'5" in height. A lovely way about her, and I want to say a very loving lady, but a very strong lady. So you would know that you were loved. She would have a good sense of humour, be quite rum, and with her, I would say I'm feeling like I don't feel I've got into my 70s, so 66, 67 for my passing or thereabouts. I feel like I've gone with respiratory conditions as she draws close, is around me, and she's making me aware there's been lots of ups and downs around you of recent, and that things have been a little bit tough. And when I say tough, that is almost like it feels like you're hitting a brick wall all the time. There's these things that get in your way, and it just feels like things are finally starting to just move. But it's about having that reassurance, that love, that understanding, that protection for yourself. I feel that you were there towards the end, but that with this lady that. Just generally, I just miss her, and you know, I just grief's a funny thing, you know, and those who we love, it doesn't. People say it gets easier, but emotionally, those who had the strongest contact, it still hurts, and that's okay. But it's about remembering the positive times, the laughable times, and all the jokes. And I feel with this lady, she's very much a joker. And I feel like the pair of you, you're not chalk and cheese. You both buttered from the same piece, in the sense of you're very similar in personality. You're a bit wind-up merchants, the pair of you. So the card that I've got for you is Rock Bottom, and this is sort of saying to you, things haven't been easy, which is what I said. And they haven't been okay for about 6 to 7 months, but you're coming out of the end of that now, and things are starting to get a little bit better. Don't assume the grass is greener on the other side. Don't assume that things are better with somebody else. What I need to say to you is see the things that are right in your life and look at the positives rather than wishing things to get better. Look at the positives that are already there. And I want to say with you, I want around nature, I want to be around trees and all of that. Okay. Okay, so if Mum's still here, then I need to say a motherly vibration. So I need to say like a grandmother. I didn't feel it was there. So, but anyway, I need to say to you that things have been difficult, but things are coming out better for you. So if I can leave that with you, Dawn, thank you for working with me. But definitely a motherly vibration. So if Mum's still here, that's where I'm going with it. So thank you for that. So it's as easy as that, guys, for the messages. You know, post a question, and then from that's how you get the reading. So so that's for card number 10, the Enchanted Map for you, Dawn. So thank you for that. Okay, any more lows, please? Hello, Kerry Phelan. Hello, Mary Gibson. Oh, Crystal Amick. That's fine. So, lovely Terry Wall. Do our loved ones in spirit judge us for the decisions we make in life? Right. I need to say to you that the personalities that they had when they were here is no different. If they were very judgmental, they're going to continue to be judgmental. If they weren't judgmental, they're not going to be. However, do they judge us on our actual decisions we make? They want to support us, so they will give us their opinion of what they think, just as they would here. So if you imagine sitting in a room and they're on one side going, oh, you know, I won't go out with him, or they'd have their opinion, but it's not to say they're then judging you on your actual decisions, because those decisions have to be yours. They have to be the decisions that are right for you. And our loved ones respect those decisions. They might give us some advice saying, you know, just be a bit wary of the decision that you've made, be a bit cautious. but you've got free will. You need to make that decision yourself. You need to live by that decision. That's how you learn. The same as your loved ones, when they were here, they would have made decisions. They have to go with what feels right for them. So in answer to your question, I don't feel that, this is my opinion, that they don't judge you on your decisions. They will try and point you in the right direction. They will give you what the feelings are over a certain decision you may have made. Like, you've thought about going for work, give it a few more months that, you need to be going this direction or that direction, but ultimately it always has to be your decision. So hopefully answers that question for you, Terry. Okay, so with yourself, Terry, I do feel I've got father here, and I want to say quite broad to the body, sort of receding on the top. I feel a very likable, very loving, clean-shaven individual. I feel a very proud man, and I, going back to your question about decisions, I don't feel he would have said to you, this is what you need to do. He'll put it, I feel with him, he would sort of said, have you considered this way? But ultimately go with what feels right for you. And I want to say you've been aware of him around you in the last 3 days. And I want to say there is a significance of the month of March he's making me aware of for this month being significant for an anniversary. He also impresses upon me stomach problems. Now I get stomach problems, I get a stomach condition, or I get cancer. I feel very, very tired with him and that, but when he was well, I want to say he was so full of energy, and he had such a way about himself that was just, he put you at ease, you felt protected, you felt loved. But he just has an energy that you could only be happy and you'd only bounce off. And this is how he's making me feel. I'm feeling like I just want to smile. I just feel like really strong. I'm capable of anything. And I feel this is out on there. So this is when your grandma passed in March. Okay. I also need to say to you, there has been a lot of things that have been going around your head, a lot of confusion, and it's almost like one step forward, 2 steps back. And I want to say this has been happening for about the last 3 months. However, you're in that place now where things are starting to settle down, but this is now your time to sort of say, right, what is it that Terry wants? What is it that she really wants to do? Because I feel like you've been chopping and changes between different things, and this is your time now to decide what it is you actually want to do and stick into that and go forward with it. I also want to say to you that some of the advice that you've been giving out this last week, you also need to listen to yourself. And it's almost, you've caught yourself saying it and chuckling to yourself, thinking, yeah, I know what I need, I know what that is. And I feel I feel with the family that, there is that need at the moment to support each other, that are coming together and being united. And his role would have been to sort of bring everyone together. And I feel that at the moment, this is your role now to bring everyone together, because I feel there's parts of the family that's got a little bit disjointed, and we just need to come together to all work together and work together as one. Because it's almost like, how can I put this? Everyone's trying to work as separate entities rather than together as a family. So come together as a family and work together and make a collective decision, but also know that you're all very much loved. And your daughter, because I know you've got a daughter, I think you've told me she's about 9 or 10 or something. I want to say, I want to be made aware of her for being very sensitive and being aware of that she feels and mentioned, or has done going back a few years ago, but has mentioned Dad and everything. So hopefully that makes sense to you, Terry, and thank you very much for that. Yeah. As we all try and be the peacekeeper, but sometimes the peacekeepers need to have a bit of rest also. So thank you for that, Terry. Now, that peacekeeper that Terry talks about, you know, we're having a lot of difficult times. I don't want to get political and everything, obviously, with the Ukraine. So, you know, one of the things I would ask of the audience tonight and going forward is to keep sending all the healing, all the peace to not only to the Ukrainians, but to the Russians and to Mother Earth itself, just trying to bring the peace. The more that we're doing this, the more we're sending to try and add our part to it. You know, it's not just about the monetary sort of support and humanitarian, it's also about sending out healing to allow the two leaders to come together and come to a consensus of peace. And hopefully that will be achieved. It's, yeah, I'll leave it as that. So God bless to all those people who are in those difficult times at the moment. Any more hellos? Hello, Anne McClernand. Hello, Gaia Spirit. Hopefully I've said that right. Hello, Patsy Kellum from Louisiana. It's part of the world. Hello, Nicole R. Evans. So, is it true that addicts tend to gravitate towards places where drugs are being used after they transition to the afterlife? I read a book that told me that kind of get stuck in that mentality. So, Nicole, I have never heard of that before. And to me, this is my interpretation, all right, is that knowing what the spirit world is like, you wouldn't need to have other fixes, let's say, because your needs were being met in other ways. I don't know enough about addiction, so I'm not even going to try and justify of what that, but I certainly haven't heard that. And I can't see that myself. I can't see that, you know, a person who has had an addiction will then go looking for something in the afterlife of a similar ilk. That doesn't sit with me. If it sits with yourself, if you've read this and it resonates with you, I'm not going to judge. That's what resonates with you. But personally, I would say no to that. I haven't heard that. It doesn't resonate with me. And to me, the only sort of things that people resonate, that they go towards, are people who are family, who are like-minded people. And I don't mean other addicts. What they will do is that they will help people here. They will help people who are working with drug addicts, like counsellors and stuff, and supporting them through spiritual support. But no, I haven't heard that, Nicole. If anyone wants to add to that, then please do. But no, I haven't, unfortunately. So anyway, I'm going to move on in the sense of a reading. And I'm going to do 2 cards for yourself, Nicole. Be interested to see what the book that you read, Nicole, is as well. So if you could perhaps put something up, like who the author is and what the book is. You know, one of the things before I draw your cards, I just want to say this to everybody. You know, I say it to all of our students and people that we teach on different courses and stuff. Go with what resonates with you. Don't just say it because Matt said it, or because I read it in a book, or because I saw a film. If it doesn't resonate with you, then don't go with it. And equally, if someone says to you, well, you know, I think this is a load of rubbish, and you think, well, actually, that's my truth, then stick to your truth, because we all have a different spiritual path to go on. And how can you say what your spiritual path is if you don't know yourself, if you don't know what your truth is? So thank you, Nicole, for being so honest and speaking out there. Whether that's your truth or not, but I just want to say that's what everyone needs to do. You need to know your own truth, what sits with yourself. So this is the pack here is Angel Tarot cards. The first card for you is this one, and it is the Seven of Earth. It says seeds well planted, a temporary pause in action, necessary worry. I need to say to you, there is so much love coming from the spirit world for yourself, but there's also a lot of healing coming here. There's lots of greenery, and to me, this is sort of saying to you, this is about healing from old wounds, but this is also sort of learning to say no and when to say no, because I just feel that it's almost a feeling that I'm saying yes to everything at the detriment of myself, because one, I'm giving my power away, but two, I'm getting so exhausted because I'm saying yes to everything. I'm taking so much on board, and it's almost like I wish I would have said no. And this is about taking your power back and sort of saying no, I'm going to say no, and start to think of myself a little bit more. I also want to say to you that need for nature is really important around yourself, and what I want from yourself is to know that your greatest energy comes from when you're around the trees and around nature. So you need to put yourself for replenishing yourself more within there. Your second card is this one, which is the life experience, and this to me is about you moving forward, and this is about not standing still. And I feel for you, it's not been a great it's not been a long time, but I certainly feel the last 6 to 8 weeks it just feels like everything's come to a halt after everything snowballing and going very fast and out of your control. So this last 8 weeks has been about you sort of deciding what it is that you want, but also finding you again. And I don't go into anything personal. One, it's not the place to do that, but two, obviously it's none of my business. But this is about finding Nicole again, and what makes Nicole happy and what Nicole needs going forward. I need to say to you, you're surrounded by the angels and being guided by the angels. I also want to say to you, realize that you're a strong individual, and sometimes we need to stand up for what we believe to be right, even when other people are saying it's wrong. Now, I'm not referring to what you've put on here. What I'm worried about is just standing up for what you believe to be true and what you love to do. So if someone says, I can't believe you play hockey, hockey's the most boring thing, for you to stand up and say, oh, actually, I love hockey, and the reason I love it is because of this, and standing by your convictions. Now, I'm giving that as a silly example, but this is about you standing up for what you believe to be right, and not allowing other people to persuade you that what you do is wrong. And I feel part of this is on a spiritual nature also. Hopefully that makes sense to yourself, and thank you very much for your question and for allowing me to read for yourself, Nicole. Right, any more hellos, please, Mr. Producer? Hello, Pamela Watson from New South Wales in Australia. So Amanda Rose says, what advice would you give to someone who's scared to take the next step in their spiritual journey, trying to overcome self-doubt, for example? Right. As I said to you, one of the things is about finding your own truth. And one of those is whether basically there's anything exists, whether, you know, there's anything into the spirit stuff or anything else. It's about knowing your truth. And, you know, when we first start out on our journey, we're very skeptical. And that's a good thing. You know, a lot of people go, oh, no, you shouldn't be skeptical. You should believe in spirit. You know, they're always there for you. But if you don't believe that, then, you know, you're going to want it proven to you. Now, you know, cynical people say, well, give me the lottery numbers and I'll believe it. But what you should be doing is sort of saying, right, okay, if there is something here, ask them for something. Ask them to show you something. Give you something concrete. allow them to come close, allow them to close my eyes, to show themselves something, give them maybe something around the house, challenge spirit a little bit, to give them something to prove to you what is that can't be proven. So rather than say I've got an old man here, then say, you know, I've got Albert Johnson the third or whatever, whoever, you know, something that can't be sort of made up or can't be researched, that only that person would know. So there's that. For taking the first step, it's about saying to them, you might not believe, but just give it a go, and don't be afraid of it. So maybe going to your local spiritualist church, maybe just going for a fun clairvoyant evening where it's not in a church environment, maybe the local hall, see what it's all about. To me, by doing those simple steps, then it's the next step of maybe finding a circle or going to the local church. But going to a clairvoyant evening, it isn't like you have to believe, you know, you can still be skeptical, but go and see what it's about. Because the fear of the unknown frightens people, but it's because they've never experienced that becomes a fear. And by embracing that, allowing them to encounter it, they can then say, you know what, I can appreciate you, it's all for you, but I've given it a go now, it's still not for me. And we need to respect that as well, that it isn't for everybody. And, you know, the very last thing I want to say on it, Amanda, before I go to your reading, is just to say, you know, we've all come in it at different points in our life. And I'm sure you're the same as myself, thought, why didn't I come into this when I was meant to? You know, why didn't I get this when I was like in my 16 or when I was 20 or whatever? Because you weren't meant to. You were meant to come in at the right time. And the time has got to be right and will be different for everybody. And it's about respecting that, the same as they respect your views as well. Hopefully that answers your question. I know it's a bit long-winded, but, you know, if people don't believe myself, that's fine. As long as they don't get nasty and they start saying nasty things about it. I've got my views, you've got yours, and that's the best way to leave it. So, my fear is my own failure. You know what? A fear of doing something is actually worse than actually, it is sometimes worse than actually doing it, and actually conquering that fear allows us then to move on. So when you say there, my fear is my own failure, then I need to say to you to take it as you don't fail. And everything that you do is a new experience. And yes, you may falter on some things, you may succeed in others, but each one has given you an experience that told you a little bit more about Amanda. So hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so here we go. Okay, I feel like I've got a grandmother with yourself. I feel like I'm on father's side of the family. I feel with her that I am probably about 5'3" in height. I would have worn glasses. I've got curly hair. I'm quite petite. I've got high cheekbones. I'm quite a happy individual, quite a strong lady. I feel like I've gone to a reasonable age. So I've certainly gone into my 80s, 86, 87. I feel with her that, again, I've got pains in my chest and affect my breathing. And I also feel that I was a lady of very few words, but by Joe, if you got me onto a topic, I could talk. I could talk. However, I wouldn't be opinionated. I wouldn't be a person who would tell you what to do. I would just. She had a good sense of humour because she's bringing in Mrs. Brown, where she goes, "That's nice," and so she has a nice way about her. And I feel with her, I could sit down, I could talk, I would communicate. Now, I know because you said earlier that you'd been to the weekend, and I feel that she was with you, and I feel that quite a lot of the time that on your right-hand side that you were feeling almost like ice cold, like blocks of ice cold. and she's around you. She would have been very much a feeder. She would have enjoyed giving lots of food, would have been traditional, sort of the stews and dumpling stews, and I'm mainly getting stews and sort of like the cooked carrots, the potatoes all sliced and really big. I've also got homemade soup. So this time of year, you know, she would have fed you up and everything. And I've also got the bread sort of like with the gravy, mopping the gravy up and eating the bread and all of that type of thing. So a lovely lady, and she comes in today just to remind you of what's important, because it's almost been that you've been worrying about so many different things. It's almost like, what aren't you worrying about? She's saying, and that's not critical. She's just saying that because she cares for you and she wants you to do well. But she wants you just to put things into perspective of what needs to be worried about and what don't we need to worry about. So it's like, you know, I get one bit of my life thinking, right, that's all sorted now, and something else happens. And I have, okay, but so she loved cooking. Yeah, most definitely. She's brought loads in. And I also want to say she made cakes as well, because she brings in for you a big gâteau, and she's also bringing a carrot cake for yourself as well. But she's wanting you to put things into perspective, so you're not worrying from one day to the next about all different things. It's about just putting things and thinking, right, rather than thinking I'm going to solve all of this today, it's about just dealing with this bit and noticing the small successes and the things that you do well. And by allowing those small successes to become bigger successes and bigger successes, which then allows you to grow through success, rather than feeling that you've got a huge hill to climb. And what she wants for yourself is just to acknowledge the small things that you do for yourself, but as opposed to what you do for others. Because each day being able to go out of the door, or thinking how I'm going to cope financially or whatever, is a big step. And by taking those big steps, you actually start to get your power back and start to get your strength back, Amanda. And I want to say the strength that's been lacking for the last 5 years. All right, so she's coming in and she's saying that the lady that you are now is not the lady you were 5 years ago. And you need to remind yourself. Now, that's not in a negative, that's in a positive. You have traveled so much in the last 5 years that you've grown and you've succeeded. And you need to see that for yourself. If I can leave that with you, thanks a lot. Okay, thank you for your comments. So any more lows, please, Miss Producer? Okay. Okay, so the next one is Annalyn L. Question: in the afterlife, do loved ones go through spiritual transformations just like some of us do? Yeah, we are learning all the time. You know, we're going from one continuum to the other, and with that continuum, we're going from the physical into the spiritual. That's the only difference. But we continue to progress, and we progress in different ways. Now, there's so many different beliefs. My belief is that we're on different levels, and we go in on those different levels, and then we move up those different levels, with the ultimate one being the divine at the top. And we ascend, but we can move between those levels by not coming back down to earth. A lot of people say, I need to come back down, and one of my beliefs is I come back down here because I need to make up for my previous life, or I had something else to learn. But you've also learning on the other side. So for example, I'm going to use a horrible example of, say it was a murderer. They go on the lowest level, and basically they realize they did wrong, but then they can be making things right on the other side. They might not want to, the person might not want to, or the family, for example, they might want to go back and apologize. That could be one way, but they could also be making amends on the other side as well, where they could be working with people who have difficulties, and they could be working to help them, which then would allow them to ascend and have that spiritual transformation for themselves. So hopefully that answers that question for you yourself, Annalyn. But we're forever transforming, we're forever learning. You know, those people who've been healers, you know, they're then learning new ways to heal that are far beyond our understanding and comprehension. And we'll come back, you know, if they've been doctors here, they will be over the other side. They'll be learning new practices then to work with healers here in order to do psychic surgery. I'm just using these as general examples, but we're always doing it. Okay, so okay, so Annalyn, I feel like I've got an uncle with you, and I feel like I'm going on father's side of the family. I don't feel very tall. I want to say probably 5'5", 5'6" tops. So only a small gentleman. Would have had deep problems with breathing, would have had the feeling like gasping for air. I want to go around the throat in particular. He's referring to 3, so I don't know if he was one of 3 or you're one of 3, but he's referring to 3. With that 3, there is 1 who's the eldest, and then there's a gap, and then there's 2 that are close together. So I've got 3. And I also feel very sort of educated. I feel very worldly wise. I feel like I can write. I'm good with numbers. I'm very academic, and very loving. But he takes me to yourself in the sense of saying that there's so much that's going on in here, but not because of things that are going around your mind. There is so much intelligence there, and there is that teaching capacity within yourself also. Now, you will understand that you keep picking up on scents and smells around the house. You will also understand that you keep feeling like your neck is being touched. And I want to say you're very much aware of spirit, and you have different experiences that you've had. And he makes me aware of this. I also want to say he's shown me curtains, and I feel like I keep seeing like shadows within the curtains, sort of the outlines as if people are walking past the curtains, and different experiences. And I want healing with yourself also. Right, what's the message you want to say? Right, I want to say, healer, heal thyself. And I need to say to you that you need to heal from lots of different things that have happened throughout your life. Now, normally people have quite, you know, maybe one trauma that affects, but I feel you've had about three or four. And I'm not going to go into reason because it's not my business, but just to say to you that although they have been difficult, and like I said, I don't want to go into, so I'm not sure what they are, but although they've been difficult, they've taught you not how to cope with situations. They've taught you a little bit about yourself. And it's almost like I'm learning from the experience that I've made from the trauma to educate others, and to allow those people to, how can I put this? Before I mentioned that it's about making your spiritual truth of what you believe to be right and getting people to make that decision. And I feel through this trauma, this thing that you're trying to inform other people of, you're not saying this is what it should be. You're allowing them to make their own decisions. But I feel at the moment this is about rest for you, and this is about sort of saying that, you know, a healer can't pour from a cup if it's half empty. And this is about replenishing that cup back up full, so you're not giving all the time, you're taking back. And it's okay to take back. And it's okay to rebuild yourself, but it's okay to ask for help as well. And one of the things I want to say to you from the main message from the gentleman is to say to you, when you need help, it's okay to ask for it. Don't feel you've got to do the journey solely on your own. And I'm going to give you one card, Annalyn, to go with that. And this is the Dragon's Lair. And, you know, this, it might look quite a negative card, but this is basically saying to me not to shut out, not to freeze people out who are trying to help you. And I don't mean you're being horrible to them, but don't feel that you're being a burden on them. Take it that it's a compliment. Your friends have recognized that, you know what, I need a bit of help, and I've helped them so many times, so it's okay for me to have help from them now. And by accepting that, you grow and you spiritually transform. And you're already ascending, but you will ascend more by accepting that help. Hopefully that makes sense to you. And thank you for allowing me to work for you, Annalyn. Okay, right, so thank you for Annalyn. Any more hellos or questions, please, Miss Producer? Diane Lawson, can our loved ones in spirit learn from us still living, like living through us almost? Interesting one. Right. The way I want to answer this one, Diane, is that basically it's a two-way process. So I'm going to give you an example. This might not be an example that sits, but it's the one that comes to my mind. One of my friends was in the army, and he'd seen conflict after conflict, and he'd seen some nasty things. And I can only imagine what that is like, because I've never been in war myself. And he had a guide that he used to work with, and he'd never seen any sort of war. He was a peaceful man all the way through his life. He taught peace, philosophy, and everything else. So when he came, he had to learn from the gentleman of what war, what conflict was like, what hardship was like, what it was like to see your best friend lying next to you, because he'd never experienced that. And the person who was here, who'd seen all that conflict, needed to understand the importance of peace and what it was like to have a peaceful mind, a peaceful life, not to see conflict, not to be battling all the time. So they were both learning from each other. Now, I'm using that as a guide, as an example, but that applies with spirit as well. Because as our loved ones, you know, sit with us, they realize, you know, if they were a person who was like, no, I'll say it, I'm not bothered about the consequences, but then they see you of being sort of like, I don't want to offend, but I feel that, you know, such and such a thing, and you put it a different way, that then makes the person in spirit go, I wish I would have done that, or that's a way that I could have done things differently. And they may come back, they may apologize, because they may say, well, actually, as I'm now learned from the person here, I've actually reflected upon what I've seen, and actually, perhaps I didn't go about things a certain way. So very much so, we're learning all the time. The same as we're learning from spirit, excuse me, they come through philosophies, they come through as messages, and they tell us stuff. They're learning from us. And as I said in the previous reading, it is that when we go over there, we continue to learn with spirit as well as those that are here, and we're just going. So if you imagine, I can't see one at the moment. Imagine a ruler, a 30-centimeter ruler. There we go. One person's going this way, the other person's going the other way, and we're moving along the same ruler, the same timeline, the same continuum, all points, and we're going between that. The only difference is the physical and the afterlife. But we're going between those quite freely with our learning. And, you know, this might be controversial. People might go, oh, what a load of rubbish that is. We don't have to come back to understand the mistakes we made. Because when we go over to spirit, we're reflecting on what we've done with our life. We're taking responsibility for what we've done. But we are also taking responsibility when we live in the life as well. So, you know, if I was to say something to someone, got quite angry with somebody today, I've got to own that. I've got to say, you know what, I did wrong today. I was wrong to shout at that person. I need to go apologise. I need to put the reason why I did it, but still I did it wrong. I need to own up to that. I can't just say, oh, I'll wait until I've passed over and then I'll make up for all the wrongs. No, you need to own that now. So hopefully that answers your question, Diane. Okay, so with yourself, Diane. Okay. Okay, like I've got a grandfather on father's side of the family, and I keep this quite brief. On father's side of the family, he makes me aware that all the ladies in the family are not particularly tall, but he also makes me aware that they all have a big heart, and there's similarity in the looks of all of the ladies. And I need to say to you from him, it is that he comes through because he tried his best to do what needed to be done and tried to do his best in life to make everyone happy. But the lesson that he learned, that he was trying to make everyone else happy and make sure that everyone else was all right, it was at the detriment of himself. And what he wants for yourself in the learning that he's done is not to run around doing everything for everyone else, to give a bit of time back for Diane and give a bit of time just for you to do the things that make you happy and the things that you're wanting to do. Because it's almost like I have to keep putting things off, and the reason I need to keep putting them off is because I've got so many other things that everyone else is wanting me to do. So take some of that time back, and that's the lesson that he's learned. And you know, he listens to the question on here, but he wants to share that sort of knowledge that it's fine to help everyone, however, not at the detriment of yourself. And that's the message from today for yourself, Dan. I'll leave that with you. Thank you for your question. Okay, so moving on. Okay, so next one's from Seven Ocean Skies. Hey, my wife and me have heard voices like our names, feels far away, a little bit unclear. Anything we can use that will get a strong connection for guides, spirit world guidance, etc. So, with any of your senses, Ocean Skies, by working on your physical senses, then helps your spiritual senses. So, what I always suggest that if it was, say, the hearing, your own voices. So obviously you're being attuned better. So it's not at the moment. It's not working on your hearing. If you weren't starting to hear things at a later date, then by going out in the morning for like the dawn chorus, listening to the wind, listening to the noises around, closing your eyes, listening to the quietness and the stillness, but also listening to noises around the house in the different rooms. If it's that for maybe the scents, it's, you know, smelling different spices, different foods when you're cooking, smelling perfume and after a cologne and all of that type of stuff, different smells around the house. By working on strengthening your sense in the physical will then help them that, oh, I've never noticed that before, I can smell perfume, even though there's nobody with perfume on that day. So you start to be aware of spirit being closer to you and using your senses. By developing our physical senses, it helps our clairsenses to become stronger. So hopefully that helps with yourself. Right. Right. What have we got? I think I've given you this before, Ocean Skies, and if I haven't, apologies. But I've got a motorbike with yourself, quite a well looked after bike. But I need to say, I have a gentleman. I want to probably put 5'11", maybe even 6 foot, and like yourself, a bearded gentleman, dark hair, very strong, not very old. I sort of feel like late 40s. I don't feel very old. I also feel with him that he was sometimes misunderstood in the way that he came across. So it was like the people around him, his close friends, got him because they knew him and how he worked and everything. But anyone who he met knew, it was almost like, don't quite get where he's coming from. And it was almost like an awkwardness. But actually, then when you got to know him more, it was actually, you realize he was just a very gentle soul, a very loving soul. And I feel with him that his life was cut short. I feel that I have lots of friends, and it wasn't like acquaintances. You know, people are, you know, admit these were long friends I would have for a long time. You know, 20+ year type of friends, because I was that type of person that, you know, I was Mr. Reliable, and when it came to friends, I stuck by them and they stuck by me. And where I'm going with this is for you, that at the moment that there is difficulties with friendship and being understood and making that connection. But I don't want this from yourself of being misunderstood like him. What he wants to come in is that there is changes happening with you. It's almost like friends are dropping off, not in a negative way. It's because you've outgrown them and you've spiritually grown. And it's almost, I want to say even 2 years ago, you're a completely different person to what you were 2 years ago. And you've become the person who has learned their own worth and has learned how important you are and that how important time is and making the most of that time. And he wants you to continue in that vein. But it's almost like lots of doors have suddenly started to open for you. And it's almost like, this is a bit crazy. I've gone from nothing to suddenly everything seems to be changing. And there is that unease, like, oh, I'm not sure if I like this. There's too much change going on at once. But actually, this had to be changed to clear the decks, to bring in a new you. And I want to say there's so much transformation going on with yourself at the moment that's just sort of saying to you that you're being guided, not by your guides, but you're being guided by people that are here also to get you to where you need to be. The card I want for yourself is this card, the Golden Palace from the Enchanted Map series. So that's that one. And the Golden Palace is you. This is about sort of, you know what? Anyone who gets me is lucky. Anyone who knows me is lucky. And that's not about being egotistical. That's just knowing that, you know, I give so much for anybody. And actually now this is about people giving back to me. I don't mean monetary, but I just mean kindness and friendship and understanding and giving me a bit of space. So you've put there about your wife and yourself here, voices, but I also need to say to you, both are developing at different rates and you're both almost going in your own direction. Now, when we're in a relationship, we move together or we move apart. Now, this different direction isn't moving apart. This doesn't mean that you're going to split up or anything negative like this. This is you're finding your own path to come back together to complement each other. So it's like one person will be doing mediumship, then the other one will be healing. Then it might be that you're doing healing and your missus is doing mediumship. And you're both doing your own thing. You both get excited by your own thing, but basically you're coming together to do stuff together. So it's not you're coming apart. There's nothing wrong with it. I don't want to get that impression. It's you're doing your own thing to come together, to work together. So hopefully that makes sense to yourself. Seven Ocean Skies. And thank you for your question. Any more questions or hellos, please, Mr. Tuesday? Okay, so next one is from Tina Gray. It says, may I ask, do babies grow up in spirit? Yes, I've asked this a few times. The common belief is we tend to go, we grow, keep growing. It tends to be the consensus to about 26. Apparently, that's the age that people feel the most comfortable in life. Equally, if you've gone into old age, you've passed an old age, you go back to an age that you felt comfortable at. But 26 seems to be the consensus. So yes, you know, even if after 26 years, the baby's still going to come back as a baby. So, you know, there's many times I've actually seen one of my own children actually manifest on the bed. And I actually saw the actual bed go down at first, and I looked again, and the baby was just there, big, chunky, sort of smiling at me and everything. Oh, you know, when you double look, I looked and I was like, wow, and I was amazed. And it wasn't like a quick, you know, the baby was there for quite a few minutes. And so, yes, definitely the babies grow up in spirit, most definitely, and they come back because, you know, I don't know if you're referring to your own children or grandchildren or whatever, Tina, but you're still mum, you're still grandmother, you're still an important part. The gentleman, you know, on the show might go, well, what about the dads? Well, they still go back because you're still dad. Just because you're not mum doesn't make a difference. You were in a fundamental part of that individual, even if they didn't touch the earth. So they come back to acknowledge you as the parent. And, you know, even if you're a single parent, they come back to that single parent. And even if there's unfortunate, and I don't want to get really off key here, but if, you know, if there was a split and dad's living in one and mum's got a new partner or vice versa, it's still going to come back to both because that's where it started. All right. So even where it's a stillbirth, where they didn't touch the earth, whether they grew up and then passed, however, they still grow up and come back and see you. So hopefully that makes sense to yourself, Tina. Right, here we go. Okay, I have a gentleman with yourself, Tina. I feel like I'm going a father figure. I feel like I'm going about 81, 82 in age. I've got facial hair just here as a moustache. I'm being shown glasses on the individual. I'm slightly bent on the neck, but I'm really well dressed. I'm very smart. Comes in like a beige suit. Obviously, we change all the time, but he's just generally quite smart but casual. Good way about himself. I feel very well mannered, very old school, opening doors and all of that. And I would have been very eloquent in the way that I spoke, and I would have pronounced my words very precise. I also feel very well educated, and I feel I am a ladies' man as opposed to a man's man. And what I want to be clear of this, I don't mean unfaithful and flirty or anything like that. I was respectful. I would have treated ladies as ladies. I would have, you know, pulled the chair out. I would have, you would have, if you were in the company of this gentleman, you would have felt very sort of loved. You would have felt, you know, noticed, you would have noticed like, you've had your hair done, or I would have complimented on change of like necklace or a new dress. I would have been very observant in that way. And he comes in quite a lot, but he comes around you because this is about noticing changes in yourself, and that you have started to see subtle changes that have started to happen. I don't mean physical, like you might have had your hair done and everything else, but this is about physical, the changes that are happening, that is almost like not willing to accept things, not willing to take no for an answer. This is about you not running around after everyone else. This is about sort of saying, it's okay, I'll let someone else do that for me. And there's these little subtle changes, and he just wants to come in and notice those. Granddad, okay. He wants to acknowledge the little changes that are made. And as I said to someone before about the little changes make a big difference, I want to compliment you on those little changes that you've made, because you have made a big difference. You know, and you continue to keep that smile, even when that smile has sometimes been a bit grimace, because it's been difficult. You've kept that smile, and that is one of your greatest virtues for yourself, he's saying. And he gives you a gold coin. Now, this isn't that you're going to come into money or anything else. This is symbolically sort of saying to you that all of the riches that you've given out will come back. So all of the friendship, all of the good things that you've given to other people are now starting to come back. People are sort of saying, you know what, one of the things that I really like about you is your friendship, your smile, your happiness, and they're complimenting, they're giving you, and it's almost like, finally, I feel that things are finally changing, but you've brought about these changes. You've done this yourself. So it's about patting yourself on the back and saying, well done. And he wants to acknowledge that well done. And the final thing is from the tarot, the angel tarot, it's the Chariot. And this is about saying to you that basically you are going forward finally, because you've let go of those strings, you've cut them, which allowed you to go forward. You've made the changes that need to be made in order to start your life again. All right, someone said before, you know, do people come back and give us advice, and are they always judging us? No, they want us to succeed. And I just need to say to you, from your grandfather, you have definitely made a success, because you have made that success yourself. So well done, and thank you for allowing me to read you, Tina. Okay, so thank you for that. Do you want to do any adverts, Mr. Producer? Okay, so we're just going to do an advert for tomorrow. So a fantastic spiritual artist we have tomorrow, as well as a fantastic healer. Tomorrow at 1 o'clock UK time, this is, by the way, the Spiritual Touch with Wendy Lindsay. Very gifted lady, so most definitely. So that's at 1 o'clock tomorrow. Please tune in and check the time differences wherever you are in the world. So thank you for that. Okay, excellent. So Patsy Callum, I think you said you were from Louisiana before. My grandson is 5 years old. He tells me he sees people in the bathroom. Will he keep this, or he'll grow out of it? Okay, so what tends to happen when we come down to Earth, when we're incepted into the Earth, we're very much attached by the cord. And that cord is at its strongest when we first touch the Earth, and that maintains that strength, which is why, you know, when children like 2, 3, they start with imaginary friends, or they start seeing things and everything else, they then tend to go to school. And at that point, you know, reality kicks in, sort of, you know, this isn't this and that, and you don't have time because you're learning so much. But the children who continue to grow are referred to like rainbow children, and they continue with that spiritual path. Now, I don't know what your spiritual belief is, Patsy. It doesn't matter. You know, I have many friends who are Buddhists and everything else, but still believing in the afterlife. So it doesn't matter about your actual religious beliefs, but how you feel with this yourself. So to me, I don't believe in forcing kids like they've got to, you know, I want them to be mediums when they grow up and all that type of stuff. And, you know, I've seen this so many times that, you know, you get gifted children and the parents, some parents unfortunately are pushing them right down, that's where they're going to be. It's about supporting them. So allow it to be talked about, allow it to have discussions where you don't feel it's being down the neck, but not poo-pooing it as well. Allow them to be creative, allow them to express themselves freely. And you know, if they say that they see things, just say, okay, what do you see? And allow them to talk about it. And from there, you take it as you want. The point of where it starts to get frightening is when, as I said to someone else in the reading tonight, it's the fear of the unknown. And if it becomes so acceptable that, you know, they're just my friends that come to see me, and most of them will be friends, family, people who are generally good and have got interest at heart, then they're not going to be scared. They're not going to have nightmares. They're not going to be frightened. It's when we don't talk about it, when we sort of say, no, they're, you know, really evil, blah, 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 that's when we start to get bad dreams. So hopefully that answers your question. So he could grow up with it. He could grow out of it. depending on how he's supported. But just allow him to live his life here. Allow him to be a child of 5 years old and have fun. Don't just be about spirit. Allow, you know, fire engines, playing with Barbie, whatever it is. Just allow them to do that and to have fun, because it has to be a fine balance. And that in itself is being spiritual. So hopefully that answers your question for your Patsy. Okay, right. Okay, right. I'm assuming that's you in the picture there. So I have a lady who you resemble. I want to say very short hair going into the neck, and I feel I've got a grandmother on mum's side of the family. I don't feel old. I feel 57, 58, that sort of age, but very much a motherly figure. I feel very loving, very caring. Family was really important to myself, and just allowing people to be what they were. I feel had spiritual experiences herself. I do feel that she was aware of spirit. Whether it was talked about is another thing, but I certainly feel that I wouldn't that she had experiences growing up herself. And what's it going to say? I just want to say from her that this is about having some time out for you, not for your with your. Well, you could have your grandson, but this is time out for you. And I want to say I want to be by this sea, and I want the time out because my life has been non-stop for these last 2 years, and it's been manically non-stop. The only way I can describe it is like in the UK, where we've had like the nurses and the carers and all of that, where they've literally worked all the way. I'm not saying nobody else has, but like have gone over and beyond when everyone else has been out of work, whatever. And it almost feels like that type of thing, where I have not stopped. I have been almost 100 miles an hour for the last 2 years, and I'm now just needing to just stop and recharge. But I need to stop. And when I stop, this is about not only stopping my physical self, it's also about stopping my mental self, because I don't feel like I'm sleeping properly. There's that much going around my head that's affecting my sleep, and I'm in and out of sleep, that I'm sort of waking up around about 25 past 2-ish. I'm like this all night, and I'm waking up, and even if I had a decent night's sleep, I don't feel like I've slept properly. So this is about having some time out, and I want to be by the sea with yourself, and I want to be by the sea, put my feet in there, recharging, allowing the sun to warm me up and everything else, but to feel. But also with the sea, I'm drawn to emotions, and this is about not shutting off my emotions. It's about feeling whatever I feel. So if I feel happy, feeling happy. If I feel upset, feeling upset, and not feel I've got to hide it, because by doing that, all I'm doing is suppressing it and sort of burying my emotions rather than expressing them and feeling. And it's okay to feel your emotions. All right. So if I can leave that with you, thank you for that. Okay, so we've come to the end of the show, unfortunately, guys. It's come to the end of another Monday night. It's been wonderful being back, and it's been wonderful seeing you all. Please take care, whatever you do this next week. I look forward to seeing you next week, and hopefully Kirsty will be with me. But if not, I look forward to seeing you next week. Take care, and whatever you're doing spiritually, make sure you do it with love. Take care. God bless.